Is it turned on?
Hi, I'm Fonda Arbetter, and today is April 10th, 2023, and I am going to interview a longtime Dallasite, Sue Kollinger. And Sue,
Yes,
give me your full name.
Sue Adele Lambert Kollinger.
Okay. Do we need to spell Kollinger?
Kollinger.
And why did your parents select this name for you, Sue?
My father named me after his father, whose name was Sam, and he had just died before I was born.
And where's Adele come from?
Adele Juergens, I guess. My mother always told me she liked the name.
Okay.
It wasn't anything remarkable.
Tell me when and where you were born.
I was born in Dallas, Texas, probably at St. Paul. I don't think Baylor was around then. In Dallas.
What was your birth date?
November 28, 1936.
And where were you living? Where were your parents living when you were born?
In South Dallas.
Do you remember?
They
Where?
were living in a rented house on Wendelken.
On Wendelken. And can you tell me, you say your mother is born in Dallas, and tell me when and where she was born.
I don't know where she was born, but she was born in Dallas in 1909.
What's her birth date?
April the 8th, 1909.
Oh, just 2 days ago. April the 8th, 1909. And tell me about your father.
He was born in Harlem in 1906, September 17th, 1906.
And how did he get to Dallas?
His father was hired by Nardis of Dallas as a designer. And they drove down, him, his two young brothers, they were much younger than he, and his older brother.
What was his trade that he was hired by?
He was a musician at that point. My father was a musician.
And what did your father play?
He played the piano and the saxophone.
In Harlem.
I guess. I didn't live there. I don't know.
That's very interesting.
He was 19 years old.
He was born in Harlem.
That's what they told me.
And just real quick, tell me
Harlem
about...
was Italian and Jewish in those years. It wasn't black yet.
No, I understand. So, where were your father's parents from?
They never were clear about that. They were never clear.
Were they immigrants into...
Oh yeah, they were immigrants. Both of them were immigrants, but we can't find their papers. A cousin of mine lived right across the aisle right across the
street
river from Ellis Island. We could never find them.
And your mother's parents?
My mother's mother came here when she's a year old, up the Delta, and she came from Alsace-Lorraine.
Wait, I didn't understand that.
She came from Alsace-Lorraine, which was part of France,
In France.
Germany, in that area. Who knows what it was then?
That's your maternal...
That's my maternal
grandmother.
But she was a year old. They came up the Delta through Mississippi. And as a matter of fact, I have a great-grandmother who's buried in Mississippi.
What town? Just somewhere in Mississippi.
Just in Mississippi. I'm sure I knew at one point.
And your maternal grandfather?
Was born in Poland and was not brought here by his father, who had immigrated much earlier, abandoned the two boys and his mother, and came to the United States, settled in Tennessee, and remarried, had another family. And finally, when there was it seems the story goes that there were some family members who shamed him into bringing his two sons that he had left in Poland. One was 19, my grandfather, and the other was 17. And they settled, the young one settled in Chicago and stayed there, and has a very thriving business from what I understand.
And how did your father get connected to Nardis? And tell us what Nardis is.
Nardis is a clothing manufacturer that's been in business since
Spell it.
1900, probably.
Spell it.
N-A-R-D-I-S.
Okay.
You want the history of Nardis?
Briefly.
It's a family that lives in Dallas. Their name is Sidran, S-I-D-R-A-N, and they named their business Nardis. Sidran spelled backward.
I'm sorry, what spelled it?
Sidran spelled backwards.
Oh, no kidding.
No,
Okay,
it's-
and so how'd your father, who's a musician, get connected to Nardis?
He didn't. It was his father that was brought down here by Nardis. He designed the first pair of culottes. And Nardis heard about it and brought him down to be a designer and a cutter. And he died 2 years later.
So your grandfather
Was a clothing business.
in
He
New
was
York?
a cutter and a designer.
That's very interesting. Okay, so
The culottes you wear today were designed by him.
by your grandfather.
That's what I'm told.
Too bad he doesn't have a patent on them.
He can't patent it.
I know.
It's like food. You can't patent food.
And tell me about your elementary school.
I lived in South Dallas. We went to a little school called Colonial, which was on Wendelkin Street. And that's where I went to school.
And then you went,
And then I went through the 8th grade. Well, actually, I only went through the 7th grade because it started in the 2nd grade. And then I went to Forest Avenue High School, which was on Forest Avenue.
tell me about some of your classmates.
Oh my God.
Were you the class of 53?
53.
And do you remember any classmates?
Well, when I look at him, I'd see them. I'd talk to them. You know, they're all around me. It's, yeah.
They live at the Legacy? Some of them that you went to high school with?
No. Yes. Yes. Sister Ripper.
Oh,
And
of
I
course.
were in class together.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's lovely.
Yes, she is. She was lovely then too.
Tell me about your marriage.
It was very short. I was married 21 years to someone from Far Rockaway, Long Island, New York, and it lasted 21 years, and I had 4 children.
And tell me,
A girl and 3 boys.
and tell me what your husband's name was.
His name was Richard Lawrence Kollinger.
And you were married 21 years.
I
And
was. I married 57.
he passed away.
Well, he did, but long after I divorced him.
You divorced him. And tell me about the 4 children you had.
I have Julie.
Who's the oldest?
Julie is the oldest. She's 65. Oh my God.
And she is married to Mark.
Ninus.
She's married to Mark Ninus.
N-A-S-T.
And
they have 2 children, a girl and a boy. He's a doctor. The boy's a doctor.
Tell me his name.
His name is Michael.
Michael Ninus.
And her name is Katie. And she is getting a master's in environmental chemistry.
At what school?
Northeastern in Boston.
And tell me about Michael.
Michael's
What
a
kind of doctor is
He's
he?
an internist in Springfield, Ohio.
No kidding. Is he married?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he's got a girlfriend.
And Katie's not married.
No.
Okay, tell me about the next one after
Howard's the
Julie.
next one. Howard's 63. He has 2 boys, a lawyer.
And tell me their names.
Michael, not Michael, it's
Howard's 2 children.
Howard's my second oldest. He's, must be 63 now. And he has 2 boys. Matthew, who is an attorney
Where?
here in Dallas. They all live in Dallas.
Who's he work for?
Works for a firm,
Okay.
a real estate firm. And he's
Real
an
estate.
in-house attorney for a real estate firm.
Got it.
And Trevor, who works at the same firm as a real estate agent, he sells land and property and buildings.
So both boys work at the same place. One's an attorney and one's in sales.
That's it.
Okay, tell me about your 3rd child.
Jeffrey is, how old is Jeffrey? 63, maybe.
You said Howard was 63.
Jeffrey must be 60.
Okay.
Yeah, 60. He's about to be 60.
Okay.
And he has 2 boys. One's 19, is in the University of Texas at Austin.
What's his name?
Oh, Clay, I forgot about his name. Clay. His name is Clay. And the
Clay
younger
Kollinger. And he
the
goes
younger
to,
one is Ryan Kollinger, who's still in school, and he goes to
Parrish.
he's in Parrish.
Okay. And Clay,
And Clay
is
is
studying
19.
what? What does he want to
Clay
be?
is studying architectural engineering.
Very nice. Tell me about your 4th child.
My 4th child is Ross. Ross is young. He's 53. He's married to Tammy from Oklahoma City. They have 2 girls. One is Olivia. She's in Tyler. She's 19.
Is she going to school?
She's in Tyler Junior High, junior college. And Sophie is still at, I forget the name of that school in Richardson. Pierce.
Pierce. Okay, tell me if we didn't mention who
Ross
Jeff is married to.
Jeffrey's married to a Dallas girl, Melinda Siegel. Ross Siegel is her father, and he's from Dallas.
He's from Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
And Melinda's from Dallas. Jeffrey's the only one that married a Dallas girl.
okay, and the
Jeffrey
third
owns a company called Spice of Life. Well, he owns it with me. I own Spice of Life Catering, and Jeffrey is my partner.
tell me about the origin of Spice of Life Catering.
I bought it out of bankruptcy
From?
from a man whose
And what-
partner had died, and he was a chef, and he didn't know anything about business.
And what made you want to go into the catering business?
Future. I didn't want to go into the catering business. I want a company, so I'd have a future.
And were you a foodie, or did you like
I'm a
food?
very good cook, but that's about it. I didn't know one thing about the catering business.
You were always a good cook.
Oh, well, not when I got
What are
married.
some of the things you like to cook?
I like to cook. I taught them all how to make Jewish food. Chopped liver, sweet and sour cabbage, all that stuff. Veal brisket, stuffed veal brisket.
So what year did you buy Spice of Life Catering?
Oh my God, what year was that? I'd have to ask Jeffrey, I don't remember. 28 years ago. What was 28 years ago?
1994.
Whatever 28 years ago was.
1994.
Okay.
Um,
I retired 3 years ago, right before the pandemic.
hold on a minute. I'm still talking about the origin of Spice of Life. And what did they do? Did you buy it with that name, or did you originate that name?
No, I bought the company out of bankruptcy. I did
Called
not
Spice of Life back
I
then.
did not change its name. I bought a company named Spice of Life out of bankruptcy.
And what was your first job that you did when you were?
I was a secretary for Consolidated Sewing Machine. I went to college for 2 years. I decided not to do that anymore. And I went to work in an office. I was like a file clerk, secretary.
What's the first job that you,
I ever had.
hold on a minute, that you were hired to do once you were a caterer?
Oh, I don't remember. It was already in business. They already had stuff on the books. I bought an existing business that had been in business many years.
That already had jobs?
And they already had, they were just going into bankruptcy because there were two owners and one of them had died. And he was the money person and the man that generated the orders. The other one is the chef who is still the chef at Spice of Life. And he knew nothing about business. So he was going into bankruptcy. Jeffrey happened to know a couple of people that knew the company and came, and we bought it.
So was Jeffrey in business with you from the beginning?
He's the one that brought me the company.
Interesting. And you worked right alongside him all these years?
Until he kicked me out. That's a joke.
Tell me about the growth of the company.
Exponential.
And have you, when did it
went
become
from bankruptcy to profitable. That's the growth of the company.
to profitable? When did you decide you wanted to do the kosher slant?
We don't have kosher. That's a misconception. We took over existing kitchens, and we have the kitchen at Sheriff Israel
Right,
for many years.
right.
That's our only kosher facility. We do not do kosher catering. If you are a member of Sheriff Israel, we will cater for you at your home. But we don't do outside kosher kitchen. We don't have a kosher kitchen. We work for Sheriff Israel. We are the caterers we own that kitchen.
Correct. Where is Spice of Life?
Off of Trend
Trent. Okay.
and Beltline.
Okay. Now tell me about. I know your hobby all your life was playing cards.
No, never.
When did you start?
Well, we always played mahjong as kids, but my hobby was I always worked. I worked one place or another and stayed home with kids. Rick traveled in the beginning. My husband traveled in the beginning, so I was home with kids, raised kids.
What did your husband do when you were married?
He worked for National Camp Search.
a local company.
Big local national company.
Okay.
Wasn't then. Actually, he finally worked for an offshoot of National, a small company they bought out of Fort Worth called Dixie. During that time we moved, he was made a regional manager, and we moved to San Jose, California, where I lived for 2 years, and where Jeffrey was born. My third child was born.
So you moved with 2 older children.
Yeah, I took him with me.
Smart move.
I'm not so sure.
This is asking me if you have any pets.
No, we had tons of dogs were in and out of our house when I was married, and and the children were there. When the children left, so did the animals.
And what synagogue do you belong to?
I don't.
Okay. How about growing up?
Yes, Temple Emmanuel.
Temple
And then we joined Cherith Israel because Howard wanted all of his friends were being bar mitzvah from Cherith Israel, so we belonged to Cherith Israel, and we belonged to Tiferet Israel, and we belonged to every synagogue in the city.
Tell me, I know you played Pan.
Yeah, and Mahjong. I've been playing Mahjong since I was 18.
And you
And
had,
we played canasta. We played all the normal things. Then I went to work and I didn't play so much.
do you, I might as well ask this, do you,
Ask me whatever you want. I will choose to answer or not answer.
no, do you have, the big things that have happened in your life, you know?
The big thing?
You know, like the assassination of JFK.
Oh, you mean of national events?
National
that have
events, yes.
Well, lots of things. Assassination of JFK, all the presidents that were elected, you know, all the disasters that happened all over the world. China trying to own the whole world at one point. Korea, all the way through Vietnam.
Did you know anyone that went to the Korean War?
No. Yes, Rick was in the Korean War. My husband was in the Korean War. I didn't know him then, but he was.
And do you remember what it was like when, I know you were only like 9 years old, but do you remember the end of World War II?
I remember the beginning of World War II.
Wow. You were young.
I was young, but it impacted everybody because we had blackout curtains and we had air raids and we were stuck to glued to the radio. I remember asking my mother, I don't know, I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old, whatever I was, is there anything on the news on the radio except news? Because to me, that's all we ever heard. Of course, that wasn't true.
Was that your only means of communication back then?
Well, I know this is going to come as a big shock to you, but all we had was newspapers and radios. We didn't have any television.
And everyone sat around and
Sure.
listened to the radio?
All of the funny shows were on the radio.
Give me a couple.
Burns and Allen. All of them, they were funny.
Okay,
Fibber McGee and Molly. We could tell you everything that was in that man's closet. I mean, radio was and classical music. My father was a music director at WRR, so, he's still in existence today. It was the first radio station in town.
Wow, tell me about your siblings.
I have one sibling who is 7.5 years younger than I. Her name is Carol.
Is she still living?
Thank God, yes.
And where does she live?
She lives here. She lives in Dallas, not far from here. She was married originally to Gene Rubin from the Rubin family, Dallas Rubin family, and then she's now married to Maury Levy, which is another Levy family. And she has 3 children.
And what are their names?
The oldest is Herbert, and the next one is Melissa, and the baby is Alan.
Oh, Alan, in the
Alan
meat
Levy.
business.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Is he still in the meat business?
No, he's in the trucking business.
Trucking business.
He owns his own trucking company. Melissa doesn't work, and Herbert lives in Austin. And they each have 2 children.
What are the wives' names? Herbert and...
Herbert married a girl from Austin. What is her name?
Okay,
I'll tell you in a minute. Right now, I can't think of it.
okay.
And Melissa is married to God.
These are your
That's
niece
what I'm
and
having a
nephews.
problem with is names these days.
That's okay, don't worry about it.
Well, this is married to Mark Lipshe. There you go.
Okay.
And
And they live in Dallas?
yeah, they live in Dallas. Yeah, and Alan is married
To
to
Susie?
No,
No, wrong.
no, Alan is married to Everstein. The Everstein girl. Whose name I can't remember now. I'll remember in a minute. Allison.
Allison.
She's an attorney.
Right.
And he owns a trucking company.
Oh, that's
Refrigerated trucking company.
Alan,
That's Alan Levy.
Alan Levy, yes, of course.
That worked for Carol and Stevie Aaron. That's the same family. Yeah.
Can you tell me what a typical family dinner was like?
What does that mean?
Holidays, getting
well,
together?
there was a minimum of 20 people. They came in and out, and Friday night was always at home, and all their friends came for dessert. And I don't have to tell you what it is with 4 kids, everybody came. So,
What are your favorite foods?
I don't think I have a favorite food. Junk, hot dogs. I'm a junk food eater. I don't think I really have a favorite food.
What was it like when you got your first TV?
Oh, yeah. That's a funny story.
Tell me.
The whole neighborhood got first TVs. I was probably about 11. I was probably about 12. And they were going, these people were going up and down the street selling televisions. It was Stewart Warner, which you never heard of. And it was a round screen. And they were hot. And these guys were selling them up and down the street. Nobody knew that they were hot. They were stolen merchandise. Nobody knew that. Until the cops came and tried to take all of our televisions away because these people had stolen a truckload of televisions off the back of a truck and were selling them to all these people for nothing. I mean, about probably $100 or something.
What was it like when you had a TV inside your house?
Well, we watched the test pattern a lot.
The Indian Chief?
Because there weren't exactly these shows on television. It wasn't prolific. So we used to sit and watch the test pattern because we were fascinated that something could show something on. But that didn't last very long, by the way.
And let's go back to WRR. How did your father get connected with them?
I have no idea, honey. It was before I was born. I have no idea. He was connected because he was a musician. That's what he did for a living. It was a brand new station. It was the only radio station in Dallas for a long time. But I don't know how he hooked up with them.
How did you choose your children's names?
Relatives died. We just chose a name. Both my grandparents, maternal and fraternal grandparents were named Jenny. And
That's Julie.
And that's Julie. And I thought Jenny was too old-fashioned, or I would have named her Jenny. And then later on, she said, "Why didn't you name me Jenny?" Howard was an H because I needed an H. Jeffrey was another J for the grandparent mothers, and Ross, I needed an R for my grandfather's name was Rudolph.
Did we talk about hold on a minute. Did we, let's see. The names of your grandparents?
Let's talk about my volunteer work.
Okay, great.
Let's do that, because my grandparents you already have their names. Yeah. My grandmother was Jenny. Both grandmothers were Jenny. My grandfather was Rudolph.
But the last names?
Well, Hafter and Lambert. I don't know what her maiden name was. I probably did at one point, but I no longer remember.
Okay, let's talk about your volunteer work. What have you done?
That's what I did. I did a lot of volunteer work while I worked. I was very involved with B'nai B'rith Women. I was the executive director of the Holocaust Center. the first one.
The first one in the basement of the
I was
JCC?
the first executive director of that. Close your mouth. I was.
How did you get connected with that?
Because I was really good friends with,
Ginger?
I was with Mike and Ginger. Ginger I grew up with. I knew Ginger. Ginger's from Dallas. And I grew up with Ginger. Well, she was older than I, but I knew her forever. And Mike was looking for a director. He was starting the Holocaust Center. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I did it.
And what did that job involve?
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, I just want to know.
Well, let's see. It involved interviewing, getting, first of all, the survivors to come forward. That was before being a Holocaust survivor was popular. They were still hiding. And they had never told their stories to even their children.
And what year was this?
I don't remember.
In the 70s.
Had to be. I don't remember. What's it?
Was this before they got
I
the
had
railroad?
Ross already, so it had to be in the 70s.
Is this before they got the railroad car?
No, it was built around the railroad car. That's Mike Jacobs went to Poland and got a car, had it shipped over here, disassembled it, and reassembled it in the basement of the Jewish Community Center. And that was the entrance to the center. And though for those people who didn't want to walk through a boxcar, which is a little gruesome, there was an elevator down into the basement from the first floor that you could come another way. But most people just walked through the boxcar. Didn't even notice it was a boxcar, most of them.
So you were basically there from the very beginning of the Dallas Holocaust
I
Center.
wasn't there for the building of it or the planning of it, but I was there when it was finished. And I was its first director.
And how long did you hold that?
5 years.
5 years. And what did you do after that?
Something. I don't remember. I think I looked for another business. Maybe I bought Spice of Life about that time. I didn't do much. I didn't go to work again. I did a lot of volunteer work. I traveled a lot. I taught fundraising. And I
Taught it?
Taught.
You
T-A-U-G.
taught
I taught
like
fun-
development?
I taught development and fundraising
To who?
to boards, volunteer boards, and I traveled for B'nai B'rith women. And I was very involved. Before that, I was one of the 5 people that started the Association of Holocaust Organizations. We started it when I was president. We started a national board, and we started the Association for Holocaust Organizations, which is now huge.
Do you have any Holocaust, anything in your background?
No, we were very fortunate. All my relatives were here. No one was left in Europe. No. But I started with 4 other people, the Association of Holocaust Organizations, which is now enormous because there are Holocaust organizations all over the world now. There were not then. It was before the big one in Washington was even built. It was just on the drawing board, a dream. This was all before then.
This is amazing
Why?
that you're in on such a ground floor.
Just something to do.
And tell me a little bit more about this association.
Well, it's an international association. Everybody, all the executives that run Holocaust centers belong to it.
Wow. And it's based in?
At New York, I think now. They moved it, but I've been out of it for so long, but I think New York. They have a permanent president that was my vice president under me, and when I left, he took over and just stayed there. He is now their advisor, and I think it's been such a long time, but it was a long time ago.
So tell me, when did you move into the Legacy?
A year ago, March 15th.
And how have you liked it?
I love it. It's like living in a resort.
Tell me what you do during the day.
Whatever I want.
Do they
There's
have
plenty of
card
activity-
games?
There's activities here. You can be busy 24/7. I choose not to be. I was too busy for 24/7 for all my life. So I choose pick and choose. And that's what's so nice about this place. I know a huge amount of people that live here because I knew them when I moved in. It's beautiful. The personnel is beautiful. The facility is spotless. They keep it spotlessly clean. The food is adequate. And it's not gourmet cooking, but it's exactly what this place needs. The personnel is incredible.
Does Jeffrey ever send any food over here?
No, they don't. They have all food in service. They have a full kitchen. It's huge, and a chef named Victor, who's very good. He plans all the menus. Yeah, they serve breakfast in your rent. You don't buy these places; you rent them.
Mm-hmm.
In your rent is included breakfast and dinner, and there is a cafe called Stanley's, which is for lunch. You want to go there?
Very, very nice.
It's lovely here. The loveliest part about it is how friendly the staff is and how well trained.
Very nice. Do you have any like family heirlooms that you keep with you here?
I have a whole cabinet full of them if you care to come to my apartment and see.
Tell me about them.
No, they're just things.
Like what?
Things that people have collected over the years.
Nothing in particular, just a
Pictures on my walls. You know, stuff people have.
any like menorahs that have special meaning or
Everything has a special meaning, sweetie. When you're as old as I am, the special meaning is getting up and feeling well every day.
you're not that old.
I'm 86.
I know, but that's
It's not very young. And fortunately, I'm very healthy.
it's all that good
No,
food.
I'm totally nuts, but I'm very
Do you have any recipes that you've passed down?
Sure.
What are they?
Sweet and sour cabbage, chopped liver, stuffed veal breast.
Stuffed veal breast?
Remember stuffed veal breast? Yeah. Jan remembers that. She wouldn't even know what that is.
Of course.
You remember that? Bread dressing, chicken soup.
So all your kids know how to cook it all and
No, I don't know that they all know. Julie does. My daughter does. And Jeffrey does, because Jeffrey's a great cook. Ross, my youngest, is a graduate chef. He graduated from Johnson and Wales. And so he cooks all of it. But they don't cook it. As long as I'm alive, they won't cook it.
I'm sorry,
Ross, the baby, is a graduate chef, but he doesn't do it. He's not a chef employed. He is graduated as a chef.
does he like
He's a fabulous...
personal for his personal?
Oh, sure. He cooks it. You know, he's a fabulous cook. He should have been a chef. That's what he was usually. He decided he didn't want to do it, but standing on your feet 12 hours a day in a 180-degree kitchen is exactly not what he decided he wanted out of life. But he's a fabulous chef.
Let me see. What
Jeffrey
else?
too. Jeffrey's a great cook. Yeah, he really is. We cooked all the time. I hated board games. Moving pieces around on a board was so boring. I thought I'd lose my mind playing Monopoly. But we cooked. We all cooked. That's what we did. We cooked.
When you were in school, were you in any activities in high school at Forest Avenue?
I'm sure I was. Oh, in clubs and stuff. You know, the Spanish club and the whatever. Yeah, we did stuff. I was never very athletic, so I wasn't an athlete.
You have a lot to be proud of in your past of
I don't think of it that way. That's interesting. Thank you. But I don't think of it that way.
I mean, can you imagine what you did with the Holocaust Center? I mean, you were in the right place at the right time.
The thing that I feel the best about is having formed the Holocaust Association, the international one. That makes me feel the best. With a group of people and I was its first president. That makes me feel the best.
Did you ever meet Steven Spielberg?
No. But I did meet the professional, several of those, the Holocaust survivors. What's his name? The one that writes on the books. French. It was in the French, what's his name?
That wrote Night.
Night. Elie Wiesel. I did meet Elie Wiesel lots of times. So you would have to lean forward to hear him. He was one who was considered conceited man I never met.
Was he?
He used to come down to the center when he was in town. He'd come down to the Holocaust Center. He'd sit in the chair by my desk. He'd have to, because he whispered like this, which is a sign of real ego, which he had in abundance.
No kidding.
It was, you know, the man did a lot of things, and he writes beautifully. And yes, I knew him. I knew all those people.
How about the other one, the Nazi Wiesenthal?
I never met Simon himself, but I was there a lot, and I knew the director. And I was in Israel a lot, so I knew Netanyahu in that group, and Golda Meir. That was all part of my time.
And what took you? Did you go special for Holocaust events in Israel?
No, there was no Holocaust Center there. They have a Holocaust Memorial in Israel, but when I was there, it was very small, and it was Yad Vashem,
Right.
And that's all there was.
Right.
So when I was going to Israel, I was going with Federation and that other. I didn't just do that. I did all of it. I was chairman of Israel Ponds.
Oh, you were?
I sat on the board of directors of the first women's federation when they broke up with the men and became separate. Yeah, I forgot about all this stuff. You know,
Yeah.
It was just part of my life.
I remember when they
When
separated.
I was on the board when we decided to separate.
The local board. Was that a trend in the country where the men and women
I
split?
don't know I can't remember that. Maybe it was, but it was time that we did that. It was because women, at that point, women held most of the money in America, and from divorce and death. And the Republic Bank was built on trust funds that all these wealthy non-Jewish men left to their daughters and their wives, and there was no men to, so there was women didn't understand their own power then.
That's very interesting.
They didn't have a clue what they had a lot of money. They held most of the money, and they didn't know. They had men telling them what to do.
So,
You know, you don't even realize what. When I couldn't buy property. I was a woman.
or have a credit card.
I couldn't have a credit card without a man's signature. I went to have my tubes tied after my third child was born because I was so sick, and I had to get my husband to sign the papers.
How'd you have a fourth child?
I had a fourth child because he wouldn't sign the papers. And my OBGYN couldn't give me the abortion. Couldn't give me
the operation.
The tie my tubes before I deliver, after I delivered, which is when it's the simplest, because he wouldn't sign the paper. Now y'all don't have any clue about that. You do. You don't have a clue about how that feels. If I hadn't had a banker when I got a divorce, I would not have had a credit card. I went to Washington, D.C., and my American Express card read Mrs. Richard Kollinger. And I checked out. In those days, women were traveling a great deal. I was in the Mayflower Hotel in Washington, D.C. There was 12 men behind me as I was checking out, all listening to this woman with big boobs, because that's all they were interested in. And I did have big boobs. And the woman said, "I can't take this credit card. I don't know who you are." I said, "It says Mrs. Richard Kollinger." She said, "That could be anybody." I said, "But that's who here's my driver's license." So she finally took it. Gold American Express.
How did you get that? How did you get that?
How did I get the credit card? Because
Yeah.
he got it. It was Rick, got me Mrs. Richard Kollinger. He had Mr. and I had Mrs. Jan knows what I'm talking about. Y'all don't have a clue what we went through. Not a clue. We couldn't sign papers. We couldn't buy anything. We couldn't buy property. We were non-entities. And more than that, in the state of Texas, Florence Tobolowsky, who was a
Right.
Jewish female, got the law changed. And that's something y'all don't know either.
What was it like?
You just take this all for granted. It happened that very many of us died on the field getting this all done.
What was it like being a single mother with four.
It was horrible.
With
If I
four
hadn't-
children.
If I hadn't had money and a banker, I would have had no credit. And if my husband decided he wasn't going to pay the child support, I would have been.
Where does the banker come in at?
He got me the credit cards. He got me all my credit. He signed
Richard
for me
did.
because no, my banker, because I was a
Oh.
woman without me.
So,
The concept is not even, I can't get the concept across to you because to you that has no meaning. To us, women were non-entities. In the eyes of the law, we were non-entities.
well,
We
your
could-
banker must have been.
Because he could sign the papers for me. And he could put it in any name. He was a man.
Were you at the Republic National
Yeah.
Bank?
As a matter of fact, I was at Republic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Without him, I don't know what I would have done. I went to Lord & Taylor. This will tell you how long ago this was. I went to Lord & Taylor with my credit card. She said, you don't have an account here. I said, well, here it is. He said, yeah, well, it was closed. He closed all my accounts. They were in his name.
Did he get remarried?
Oh, yeah.
Did he have children?
2 more. 2 girls.
Are they in Dallas or
I don't know anything about them.
no? So, where else did you I mean, who helped you with your 4 children?
I had living help.
You had live-in help.
Yeah, I had a lot of money. Then. We took
Did you take your kids on trips?
sure.
Where anywhere
We used to go places. Yeah.
international?
No, we did not go internationally then. Mm-mm. We went to Mexico. I guess that's international.
Yeah.
Went to Puerto Rico a lot. They
Mhm.
love Puerto Rico.
And you never remarried.
God, no. The thought of it was abhorrent. Plus, I had 4 children I had to raise. I couldn't introduce something into that. And he was nuts. Rick was nuts, and he was awful to the kids. They didn't need any more drama.
And what schools did your kids go to?
Howard graduated from Green Hill, because that's where he wanted to go. The other kids were there, but they didn't want to go. And they graduated from Hillcrest. All of them graduated.
Mm-hmm.
But they were all in Green Hill at one point, and Howard was the only one that stayed.
I got you. Okay. Well, what advice would you like to leave for the next generation?
Learn all you can about your society and your government, and conduct your own destiny.
What do you think about the division in America that's going on right
I
now?
think we allowed it. And women are not fighting for more. 50-year-old law that's totally been abolished by a woman because she believes in Jesus. Something seriously wrong with that. Not that you belong in Jesus, but that you would impose that law on everybody and allow it. And men run this country still. And women are just, do you see the women rising up in anger and what are you doing? What if my kid gets raped and has to have a kid from a rapist?
They're demanding it.
They have told us that that's too bad. Plus, they now have a law turn this thing off. Plus, they now have a law that says that you can't go out of state. And they're taking the pill away. And women are allowing it. I'm too old to fight. Where are y'all?
I can't speak for an entire generation, but no one else can speak for me. And so I don't appreciate being told, with all due respect, I don't appreciate being told that I take things for granted or that I'm not
No,
doing
I don't
anything.
mean you.
No.
I mean your generation.
I can't speak
And
for
mine. Look at these women that are out there accepting this. I apologize. I didn't mean to insult you at all. It wasn't you. Well, look at you. Talking about you, the generation of the
No,
women.
it's disgusting. It's disgusting that there's not more being done. It's completely
Are they just
horrible.
accepting it? We fought like hell. Didn't we, Jan?
They are. They
They're
just
just, it's
accept.
okay.
Were you part of any fight? Like
Well, I was
to-
behind the scenes. I used to pick it on occasion, but I worked on the inside.
You didn't know Sissy Farenthold, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't know. I knew of her, but I didn't know.
Didn't she represent Roe?
Yeah.
No. Okay, well, I think we've covered most everything.
Yes.
I'm sorry if I sounded preachy. Please
Hey,
forgive me.
Not preaching.
Oh, you-
I apologize for
No,
having
you-
ruffled feathers. It
No.
makes me mad too, and I do what I can.
Of course it does, and
because-
of course you do, and when I say your generation,
I know.
it isn't you, I don't know you, I can't possibly say that. So,
And I am equally angry with myself.
and I have to tell you that
Equally
I
angry
got
with
out of
the
all of
people
it.
making the
I
laws.
walked away. I walked away
Walked away
from everything. I don't do anything anymore.
So you're just enjoying life right now?
I earned it. I figure I earned it, and it's okay. And I couldn't take the meetings anymore. I couldn't take it anymore. I walked away.
That's depressing.
I'd had enough.
That's completely fair.
Fair or not, it's the way I felt. And today, if I had to sit on a committee today, I think I'd walk out of the room before I would sit on it. I can't take it anymore. And nothing has changed. It's interesting. People just don't change. They still conduct themselves the same way they always did. Which me too, I do the same thing. We all do. I've had an interesting life.
Well, I have to tell you, you've really aged beautifully.
Thank
You're
you.
a beautiful woman.
Thank you. Thank you.
You really are. Your hair's beautiful.
Thank you.
You just look so up to date.
Well, my mother was, do you remember the Salingers?
No.
Did you know of Alfred Salinger and
I know the
Hermine?
names, but I don't remember.
Okay, well, Alfred Salinger was born in Dallas and was friends with my mother. And every time Alfred saw me, he would say, "Sue, your mother was the most beautiful woman in Dallas, Texas." So thank you, Mother.
Well, yeah, you're very beautiful.
Thank you.
And
oh my goodness.
well, no, I mean, I see some people. You can look 20 years younger, or you can look 20 years older, and you look 20 years younger.
God, I wish I felt 20 years younger. I do
I
actually.
bet your
very happy.
brain is.
Yeah, my brain still works. For the most part, I forget names.
We all do.
Really bad with names. Really bad with names.
We all do. I forget.
And that's really, it's a good thing they wear name tags around here. Otherwise, people I'm with every day, I forget their name.
You don't recognize
It's so
them,
nice
huh?
that everybody wears
Yes,
name
of course,
tags.
I recognize you. And your whole family. Listen, your grandmother.
Ooh, she was so cute.
Oh, she was so adorable. We used to
I
spend,
loved my grandma,
Oh, she was precious, your grandmother.
Libby Sheps.
We used to,
She was great.
She was adorable.
She knew everybody.
And your mother's mother was also adorable. We used to stay over at her house. We had all of our slumber parties were somehow ended up at Madeline's.
And Marguerite.
And
Oh yeah,
Marguerite.
and my grandmother was Marguerite
Marguerite,
Cohen.
yeah. In South Dallas on Peabody or something.
That's where y'all all grew up.
Panama Place.
That's it, Panama Place. God, we had all of our slumber parties there.
How fun was that?
It
Well,
was
my mother
fun.
had a really good-looking older brother.
Oh, Melvin. That was a Melvin. What a mess.
And Bernard.
Melvin was beautiful. He really was.
He was a good-looking boy.
He was very beautiful.
Oh, anything else you think you want to add?
I think I've said too much.
I don't think so.
The only thing we really didn't talk about was what kind of house you grew up in. Did it have a bathroom? One bathroom?
One bathroom, and then it was a little tiny house, little tiny. Probably didn't have 1,500 square feet. My grandmother lived with us from the day I was born till the day she died. And in the hallway, they put a partition up so that she would have a room.
That's so sweet.
I never thought it was small
It's a big hall.
until we built a house that had 6,000 square feet.
Where did you raise your family? Where was
We
the?
lived in Fox and Jacobs houses on Royal and Webb's Chapel.
And where was your 6,000 square foot house?
Over here off of Hillcrest in Pemberton. 7 bathrooms. This is ridiculous.
And how long did you live there?
That's wonderful.
Quite a while. I sold it to Shelley Zimmerman. Rabbi Zimmerman.
The rabbi from
It
Temple
had 5
Emmanuel.
bedrooms. It had 5 bedrooms. That's why he bought it. He had all those kids. It was near the temple. It's right.
It was close.
Right near the temple.
Pemberton, yeah.
And where'd you move when you sold that?
I moved into a duplex because I was divorced by then. So I bought half a duplex, which was plenty for me. There was no, Russ was the only one left at home, and he was gone after he graduated high school a year later. So it was just me and him.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
we've covered.
I think so. That was, it really was a great interview.